This is your first call.
This is your second call.
This is your third and last call.
I'd say music is, what do you think?
Entertainment in the form of noise.
Sound. There's notes where you can play.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful sound. It's pretty beautiful. It's pretty sound.
It depends on what genre of music.
Something made by instruments.
How important do you think music is to God?
Very.
Very important.
Very.
Because we wouldn't have it if it wasn't important.
I think it's important because it's ways we can praise Him, ways He knows that we acknowledge Him, that we know that He's there by playing music.
God has angels that play in the choir, and they use their voices to glorify Him, so we should use our instruments to glorify Him also.
Why is music important?
To glorify God.
To express yourself and your feelings and just let go sometimes.
Because God tells us to use it to glorify Him.
For people to buy your songs and you make money.
Why do we practice?
To get
better.
So we get better.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Even before the world began, there was music. The Bible tells us that angels worship, praise, and glorify God constantly.
Throughout the history of mankind, there has always been musical expression.
In prehistoric cultures, there were drums and flutes made from bones and wood. These were used as tools of communication.
We invite you to take a journey with us through the periods of music, and we begin with the Middle Ages.
The Middle Ages, also known as the Dark Ages in Europe, began about 450 AD with the disintegration of the Roman Empire.
Life in the Middle Ages was dominated by the Roman Catholic Church.
The church became very powerful, but also very corrupt.
During the Middle Ages, the most important musicians were priests, and most medieval music was vocal, and the Gregorian chant was the official music of the Roman Catholic Church for more than 1,000 years.
Following that line of thinking, we present to you the musical.
The Renaissance was a period of important changes from the 1400s to the 1600s.
The word Renaissance is a French word meaning rebirth. It is a rebirth of learning and a return to the literature and humanistic studies of the ancient world.
During this time, artists and musicians were able to display artistic freedom and individualism. This creativity allowed artists to abandon the stricter ways of the Middle Ages.
The next song was composed by Tillman Sistato. He was a prolific composer of instrumental music during the Renaissance period. Much of his music is still recorded and performed today.
And now, for your listening enjoyment, Renaissance dances.
The word Baroque means extravagant or complex, especially ornamental. This was the age of wigs, decorative coats, and lace.
The Baroque lifestyle took place around the 1600s.
In music, simplicity was replaced by complex harmonic textures.
The major musical form to emerge from this period was concerto. Concertos were written in contrasting sections called movements and usually featured a soloist.
A famous figure from this period is Johann Sebastian Bach. He was a German composer, organist, harpsichordist, violist, and violinist.
Tonight we'll be playing Bach's Minuet in G major.
With a twist.
Enjoy.
The classical period was a short period. It started in the 70s, 50s, and lasted around 70 years.
The gaudy, overly ornate style favored in the Baroque age fell out of favor in the classical period. Composers no longer had to write what the nobility wanted to hear. They were free to write more of what they wanted.
The style of classical period compositions was more dynamic, containing soft and loud passages in the same movement.
Four major composers of the classical era were Haydn, Mozart, Gluck, and Beethoven. These composers wrote extensively
for vocal and instrumental mediums.
In 1785, Beethoven wrote a song with the intention of celebrating the brotherhood and unity of all mankind. The song is part of the final movement of the Ninth Symphony.
We invite you to enjoy that masterpiece in this reflection.
And Romanticism came along.
Partly a reaction to the Industrial Revolution, the Romantic Age was also a revolt against aristocratic social and political norms of the classical period.
The Romantic era is marked by expressive compositions. Poems were set to music and musical themes were used to tell stories.
From 1820 to 1900s, as in any time of change, new musical techniques came about to fit in with the current trends. Exceptionally gifted performers, pianists, violinists, and singers became enormously popular.
Composers during this time used this expressive means to display nationalism, and composers used elements of folk music to express their cultural identity.
It is from that era that we bring to you the first Russian composer whose music made a lasting impression internationally, Peter Ilyich Tchaikovsky.
This piece was composed between 1875 and 1876. The scenario, initially in 4 acts, was fashioned from Russian folk tales and tells the story of Odette, a princess turned into a swan by an evil sorcerer's curse.
Oh, yeah. Fear Light Swan Lake.
Throughout this evening, we hope you have enjoyed our travel through the periods of music.
Now in the modern age, we have a better understanding of how music has evolved. There are many musical genres and styles today.
But there is just one truth. God, our Creator, created music to glorify Him.
As the body of Christ, there are specific hymns that speak strongly to our faith.
Especially in these times, we would like to share with you songs of the Christian faith.
Enjoy as a special ensemble presents Amazing Grace.
We are here tonight thanks to the grace that saves us and makes us free.
We want to thank God for our life and all the blessing He pours upon us every day.
And we want to thank you for sharing this night with us.
Thank you!
And one more thing.
What do we